Hi everyone, my name is Lily and I am the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind, and today we're going to be doing my monthly Librofm sale picks. So if you're new to this channel, every month I go through the Librofm sales and I tell you what I would recommend and what I think is worth getting or on my TBR. So first, let me just chat about what is Librofm. So Librofm is an independent audiobook subscription service. For I think $14.99 you get 1 credit a month. They have specific sales every month. They have 2 curated playlists. One is the Kiss Club, which is a romance playlist, and one is the YA Club. And so these are curated, so they're not all of the YA things, all of the romance books that are on sale. Then I also go through the sale things. So, if you're an active member at Librofm, you get an additional 30% off every sale book. You can also you can also buy these books a la carte without being a subscription active member as well. And they're yours forever once you buy them. So I think that's everything. I have done this introduction to what Librofm is so many times that I honestly keep forgetting things. But anyway, let's just talk about the Kiss Club. There weren't that many in the Kiss Club this month, which was weird because there were 4 pages of it. But anyway, the first one is Ne'er-Do-Well, which I actually am staring at my copy of Ne'er-Do-Well. I actually have this one. It is very tempting, though, to get it on audiobook because I'm pretty sure that I've enjoyed this narrator of the audiobook in the past. So honestly, it is in my cart, but it is TBR for me. It is a historical fiction Regency romance. Basically, one of the characters is determined to find the Duke or another character the perfect wife, except spoiler or not spoiler, because you can all guess it probably, she ends up falling for him. There is a series of this, I think, or like roughly connected world. So Ne'er-Do-Well is on sale, but so is Earl Crush. I'm not sure if Earl Crush is the second one. I'm not sure. Perhaps. That one is also on sale, and it's basically about a reclusive earl who one day has a stranger turn up with a marriage, is an inconvenient connection to espionage with an astonishing proposal. That is the quote from the Librofm sale. So I'm interested in both of these. I actually own Earl Crush. I think I got it on a previous sale. So I'm not sure if that is the first one or the second one in this series slash world, but anyway, those are on my TBR, especially if you really love historical romances. Business Casual is on sale. I own all of the Love Light series on audiobook. I've really enjoyed listening to them on audiobook. Business Casual is also the most recent in the series, so definitely pick it up if you love the series or if you love Love Light Farms. It is featuring Nova. I have only read Love Light Farms. I haven't read In the Weeds, Mixed Signals, because I haven't read the other one, so I'm not actually sure who Nova is, and I don't want to read too much to spoil myself potentially. It doesn't ever say kind of what happens in the other ones. They're all kind of the same world of Love Light Farms, but through various side characters. So basically, I guess I can read it. So Nova is one of the main characters, and she ends up meeting an investment banker, Charlie. And what is, oh, she is a tattoo artist. And so she decides that they'll have like a one night, no strings attached kind of thing to get it out of the system. I love that trope when people are like, oh, well, we'll just do this one time and we'll get it out of our system. Never do. Anyway, if you like that trope and you've also loved the Love Light Farm series, this is on sale. I don't know if other ones from the Love Light Farm series are on sale because on Librofm it kind of shows them in a weird order. The next one is Sugar, Spice, and Can't Play Nice. This is the second book in the Chai Masala Club. I really have not read the first one, which has been on my TBR for forever. Love, Chai, and Other Four-Letter Words. I own Sugar, Spice, and Can't Play Nice. I haven't read it. I'm so behind on audiobooks. Mostly because it's taken me 5 million years to get through Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and I'm still not done. I still have 8 hours. It is like the book that is going to take me probably the rest of the year to finish. But anyway, Sugar, Spice, and Can't Play Nice is the second book in the Chai Masala Club. It is basically about a character who insists that she marries someone, and the other person is a serial dater who wants to save the company. And so, if she wants to not get disowned from her family, she has to figure out either getting married or getting engaged to kind of make their dreams come true, or like giving up family support, I guess. So that is on my TBR, obviously. Dark Restraint by Katie Robert is on sale, but I made sure to check, and a few of the other Katie Robert Dark Olympus series books are on sale. I'm woefully behind on this series. Honestly, it is something that I want to finish because I want to do like a all about author on Katie Robert, which I've done in the past. I will link those videos below, but this one is on sale. It is the Ariadne and the Minotaur. I have read Cruel Seduction. I feel like I've read Radiant Sin. I don't know if I've read Cruel Seduction. Oh my god. Every month I feel like one of these books are on sale, and every month I'm kind of like, which ones have I read? Anyway, I will figure that out later, and I'll also later tell you about the other books because they were not on the Kiss Club playlist. They were just on the sale. And the last one on the Kiss Club playlist is A Vile Season, which I also own. This is so shameful. April, these sales are really kind of exposing me. But anyway, A Vile Season by David Ferraro. I really loved one of David's past books. I can't remember. It was like a supernatural historical fiction kind of book, and this one is Bridgerton meets The Bachelor. It's a queer Regency romance of vampires competing for the heart of a duke. Like, it is just so much up my alley. I cannot believe I haven't read it. Shame, like, just but shame on me. I think that's the title of this video, but anyway, it's on the romance Kiss Club playlist. And next were the YA books, and there were a ton that were really fabulous looking, or that were really fabulous. The first one is Bedazzled, which I don't think I've actually read this one by Ryan LaSala. I've read some other books by Ryan LaSala, but I don't think I've read Bedazzled, so this was on my TBR. And basically, the main character, kind of like the title, has a passion for bedazzling, and kind of creation, artistic clothing creation in general. And he wants to make his mark at a cosplay competition, I think. I'm not sure if it's for the school or kind of just in general. But anyway, it's basically the entry point to making all of his dreams come true. But his ex-boyfriend is the main competition. So excited for this one. The next one is Gay the Pray Away, which I actually read on audiobook. If you followed me for a while, know that I am a huge Natalie Nautis fan. Natalie Nautis not only narrates this book, but also wrote this book. So Gay the Pray Away is just fabulous on a variety of different levels. It's basically about a girl who realizes, or like she's in a cult and she kind of gets it, but not really fully. She meets another girl where? I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember where she meets her. Oh, she meets her at Bible class. Yes, she meets her at Bible class, and this is kind of like a journey of self-discovery. It's a journey of questioning faith and questioning family and the communities and cultures that we are in. It's a queer awakening story. It is just like, I had my heart in my throat the whole time because like there are some beautifully tender, sweet moments, and it's just like, something bad is gonna happen, it. But it is a story about hope. It is a story about love as well, and a story about family. So have to recommend that one. So good. And I also saw that Quirk Books either picked it up or acquired it. So very excited for that, to see it get like a new cover and new promotion again. This Ends in Embers is on sale. This is the sequel to So Let Them Burn. I own this one too. I haven't read it yet. I own this one too, and I haven't read it. You should just, count how many times I say that and let me know down below. But it is a sequel to So Let Them Burn, which is a story about sisters. There's also, I'm pretty sure, dragons, if I thought. It's the end of the Divine Triders duology. I have to read this one. Like, honestly, I have to read this one. I also am going to an event in April with Camilla Cole, and so like I have to. Will I be finished with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by then? Who knows, but I have to read this one. And it's a sequel, so I'm not really sure how much I can say about the synopsis, but it's a story about sisters, a story about prophecy and destiny, and like what happens when you're the chosen one, and what happens when you're not the chosen one, and what those kind of expectations and roles put onto your shoulders. The next one is Ruby Ramos's Recipe for Success. This one was really, really good. Basically, she has this kind of recipe that she thinks is going to lead to her success. And so she kind of starts careening because she realizes she's off track. So she's waitlisted, and it's kind of like this moment for her to not only realize what she needs to do to make her dreams come true, but what happens if the recipe for success is not the success you want? What happens when you get off course, when you go off recipe? So that is the main kind of story about Ruby Ramos, and I really, really loved it. I felt like I've really been loving seeing these YA books that are talking a little bit more about either critiquing the immense pressure we put on teens for college and that kind of thing, or looking at the different avenues and the different dreams and futures that one can have. I feel like when I was growing up, it was very much kind of like college or bust. And I would have people I knew in my life who were like, oh yeah, I'm going to college, but you could tell that like it wasn't maybe what they wanted, or it wasn't maybe the right path for them, but there weren't really other options. There weren't conversations happening as well about the pressure. There weren't conversations happening about other avenues, other ways to go off recipe. Like, I'm really loving seeing these conversations happening in other YA books. I wish that I could go back in time and sort of give it to everybody I knew. The next one is Life is Strange, Steph's Story, which is written by Rosie Thor. I am really intrigued by this, mostly because it's written by Rosie Thor, and I love Rosie's books. But also, like, I have not read, or I've not played Life is Strange. I've only played, like, one time for an hour when I was at my friend's house. So I am intrigued by the whole Life is Strange universe. And so I'm intrigued by this one and going into it not knowing anything about Life is Strange, really. So that one is in my cart, and it's on my TBR. The next one is Otherworldly, which is also on my TBR. It's read by 3 fantastic narrators, one of whom is Natalie Naudus. It is also in my cart. And I've been really obsessed with F.T. Lukens recently. I read, what did I read? Ever After, or So This Is Ever After, maybe? And I really loved it, and I've also really loved other F.T. Lukens books, so I've decided to read all of them. And Otherworldly is basically a like supernaturally story. One of the main characters doesn't believe, or no, yes, is a non-believer in a region where people swear the supernatural is real. So is a non-believer in the supernatural. And basically then there's another character who's a familiar from the other world, and sent to kind of help humans make these crossroad bargains between worlds. When the crossroads demons come to collect this other character, the magical assistant, they end up running into the other character, the non-believer, and then it kind of starts this, process where both of them are realizing maybe that they're wrong, and that the systems that they've grown up with, or the systems and the beliefs that they had, maybe does not serve them anymore. And yeah, there are 3 narrators, so I'm not actually sure how that's set up. But anyway, it's on my TBR and it's in my cart. The next one is Lake's Edge, which is on sale. I really loved Lyndall Clipston's Holy Terrors. I really enjoyed the world building there. I enjoyed the characters, and so I'm really intrigued by Lake's Edge. I actually own Lake's Edge and Forest something, which is the sequel to Lake's Edge. And basically, it is just like a book that really promises gothic fantasy vibes. Everything about it, from my special edition to the cover, it's just like screaming gothic fantasy. There's monsters, magic, cursed lake. Like, it's just screaming gothic fantasy. I'm so excited for it. Basically, it's about the main character and her younger brother. They arrive at this haunted estate. Gothic fantasy. At this haunted estate, and they think that they're going to find a monster. There's a lot of rumors circulating about Lake's Edge, and nothing is how it seems. That is all I'm going to say. Anyway, it is on my TBR. I actually own Lake's Edge, so I'm not sure if I'm going to read it. I'm trying really hard to not buy audiobooks that I own physical copies of. Like, I just can't. My wallet can't handle that. And To me, I justify it a little bit more like, oh, well, I'm going to read it now. Doesn't happen. You can see it doesn't happen. And also, I justify it like it's not a physical thing, so it doesn't take up space. No, it just takes up wallet space. The next one is Swift the Storm, Fierce the Flame by Meg Long. I really loved Meg Long's book, something about cold. Cold the Night, Fast the Wolves, I think. And this one is, I can't remember. It's like, I thought it was going to be a sequel because the titles were really similar, but it is very, very different. And basically, a main character is looking for a friend, and it's like this totally different world in the sense that the first one, Cold, is like super, super cold, and this one is much more tropical. Basically, a mission goes awry, and the main character is trying to find her friend that she didn't save, and the friend who helped her kind of break out of this corporate brainwashing as she's a genetically engineered corporate agent, quote from Librofm. And so I feel like maybe that's like the connection between the two books. I don't remember. I remember that they're kind of a little bit connected, but not in like the sequel sense. Anyway, she ends up so she's still on that mission, and she ends up meeting another character who is an ex-squad mate who left her for dead. Just saying. This was really fun. I loved kind of this corporate conversation about brainwashing, corporation, identity, weaponry. When people are made into weapons and what that does, that is like candy to me. And so this was a main theme in Swift the Storm, Fierce the Flame. And the last one on the YA book list is Where Wolves Don't Die, which I was really intrigued by it, basically by the cover, and it's narrated by the author. It is about the main character who kind of hates where he lives. He hates kind of everything around him. He hates being away from the reservation. And so he also hates the local bully in his town. He ends up getting into a really big fight. Also, a house burns down. And so then he becomes a suspect. So this is on my TBR. It's also like in my cart as well. Very excited for that one. And now we have the sale book. So the first one was that Earl Crush is on sale. I mentioned that before. I'm also going to mention that Wicked Beauty and Sweet Obsession are on sale from the Dark Olympus series. So just tying up loose ends from earlier. I can't remember which is which, but basically Sweet Obsession I feel like is the latest one, except one is definitely coming out. So it is the latest one, but one is coming out. I want to mention that A Love Song for Ricky Wilde is on sale. I really loved 7 Days in June. I feel like A Love Song for Ricky Wilde I didn't love as much as 7 Days in June, but it is by the same author as 7 Days in June. And it is just a story about like this connection that they have. There's also a little bit of I don't know how to say this without spoiling it. There's a little bit of a whimsical magicness. So basically what I loved in Ricky Wilde is that Tia Williams takes this idea about the magical power of love and talks about the ways that love is magic. That is what I'm going to say. Without it being fantasy in the sense of like a fantasy setting. So it felt a little bit like surrealist in that sense. Basically, there's a story about two artists, and she's a florist, and the other one is musician, and they're kind of drawn to each other, and we're not really sure why, we're not sure what their connection is, and it's about piecing through that. And the next one is Immortal by Sue Lin Tan, read by Natalie Naudis. I loved Immortal so much. It is swoony. It is so, so swoony. I really love Daughter of the Moon Goddess. And Immortal has all of those swoony feels. If you loved that aspect and you just wanted that 10 times more, that is Immortal. Lots of twists and turns. It is about kind of love and being immortal, but it's kind of, it is so... It's like romantic fantasy. I don't know if it's necessarily romantasy to me. Topic for a whole nother video about romantasy. But it's certainly a romantic fantasy. There's so much secretive natures, betrayal, trust, and love, all like tied up into one. Basically, the main character wants to end her kingdom's obligation to the immortals. The immortals and the humans. Is she a human? The immortals, yes. Yes, mortal. The immortal and the humans kind of have this relationship where the immortals, I feel like in a lot of worlds or a lot of stories, they kind of are godlike serve figures which serve humans, not in the sense of servitude, but in the sense of like if you pray to them, they'll maybe do something, like that kind of servitude to sense. But she wants to end their obligation to the immortals and takes vengeance upon them. And the main other character, not main character because it's not dual POV, the other character is the god of war, who isn't immortal. So just there are going to be things happening there. The next one is Death of the Author. I wanted to mention this. This is a really recent release. I read it earlier as an ARC. It is a book about, it's like a science fiction book, but it's not like in your face science fiction. It's science fiction in the sense that one of the main characters, she has these kind of robotic limbs, but it's in science fiction as well because she writes a book called Rested Robots, which kind of goes really viral, goes famous, and kind of catapults her into fame. And that is a science fiction story as well. So we have characters and chapters from that world and that story. So it feels science fiction, but like that is like a book within a book kind of thing. Mostly what I enjoyed about this is that it's also about her dealing with being an author, dealing with being famous, dealing with having your life become scrutiny. There are some bits that are told sort of as interviews with her family and friends. Like in general, it was one of those books that made me think a lot more than I thought I would. And I was less transported by the story and the characters than I was thinking about all the things that were happening and thinking about her character and what was happening to her. We also have the Hurricane Wars on sale. The Hurricane Wars, if you haven't read it, I think it's sort of a trilogy. Yes, first book and the second book are out. The Hurricane Wars, to me, it was pitched as kind of this enemies to... I will leave my full review of this one down below because I have a lot to say about it. You should go into the Hurricane Wars if you do like enemies to lovers, but it's not necessarily enemies to lovers in that sense, as I think of it more kind of like, what are their reasons that they can't be together and what are kind of like the world situation around that, and less kind of like the, oh, you know, I want you but I can't want you. Like it's less of that to me, or that's the weaker element to me as the world building and setting up the foundation of the world. As I said, A Monsoon Rising kind of switches that, but anyway, that is about Hurricane Wars. Basically, she is a soldier. She has a secret light magic, but she hasn't really used it. And so basically, there's the prince who is the heir, and they are kind of negotiating. But then he has magic. She doesn't know how to use her magic. Can he help her use her magic? But then, like, what are going on? It's a lot as well about kind of questioning the beliefs that we have grown up with, questioning family, questioning culture, questioning all of those different things. The next one is The Floating World, which is actually a pre-order. This one hasn't come out yet, and I actually just started it last night, but I can't really tell you much about it because I just started it last night. Axio is one of my favorite authors, hands down. I love it so much. This is a romantic fantasy reimagining of the Celestial Maidens. So far, it has like one character who is in the underworld, which is a land of darkness. He is an ex-soldier, and he's like trying to figure out why he doesn't remember the last 2 years of his life and his search to find his brother. The other character is an acrobat living with kind of this performing troupe, but then there's this, the village is attacked by demons, I think, and so she releases her secret magic and now everyone is looking for her. That is the plot so far of The Floating World, and I love it so much. And also the sequel is also coming out later this year, so the pace of this is fantastic. Definitely check it out. I love Axie's books. So Let Them Burn, the first book in the Divine Traders series, is also on sale. I mentioned... I can't remember but I just said it. I mentioned the sequel. And I guess I also talked a little bit about So Let Them Burn, but I'm just going to mention that it's on sale as well. Full Speed to a Crash Landing is on sale. I love this novella series so much. I actually listened to the second one a little bit on audiobook. This is like swoony romantic science fiction meets a heist slash bounty hunter person who is just like, I don't care about the rest of the world. I just care about getting my cut. Who meets this government this government agent who's kind of just like so much into what the ethics of what he's doing, like we're making the world a better place, and she's kind of like no you're not, the government is corrupt and also corporations are corrupt in this world, so like are you really, could you be doing better somewhere else? And so it's their interchange or their interactions in this science fiction world. The first one is very much kind of like a heisty bounty hunter kind of vibe. She arrives, she's trying to get this thing, his crew saves her, but then they have to work together unwillingly to get what she wanted and what they want. And the second one is setting up the third one, which is also on sale, but the second one is kind of them at a ball kind of, so it's also heisty, but that they're at this sort of function, and it's setting up this finale, which I'm starting as basically as we speak, which I'm starting, which is also on sale, which is going to be the threads of the first two coming together really beautifully. The second one, in my opinion, was a little bit weaker in the sense that you really have to read the first one, and the second one very much is setting up the third one. It doesn't stand as much on its own, whereas the first one stands really well on its own. But anyway, really love this series. The next one is Iron and Embers. This is the first in the Ashes of Thesmar book series. If you've been following me for a while, you will know that I've fallen headfirst in Thesmar. I just finished Vows and Runes on audiobook before I went back to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is the spin-off series featuring a different sister. It is also set in the... It's set now, but like the other series is in the past, so it's not set in the future, it's set in the present. And this follows Ren. The other one follows Thea. And I can't really tell you much about it because it has spoilers for the first one. But basically, Iron and Embers has a magical alchemical academy. There's dangerous trials. It's about kind of found friendship-ish. And there's also will they, won't they, slow burn vibes. So that is all I really can say about that one. We now have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, which is another book by Axio. I really love this one. You might have heard about this one because I feel like this was her first book to go super, super, super big. It is a fantasy, and it's about like a girl, her whole town has to kind of make these sacrifices every year or every X amount of time. Every year a beautiful maiden is thrown into the sea to appease the sea god. But one day, the person who's going to be thrown in is actually her brother's true love, or like he loves her basically. So she decides to sacrifice herself instead, and there she goes in the spirit realm, and there is when the book starts. And so she's trying to kind of figure out how to wake the sea god. It is so good. I loved it so much. I would highly, highly recommend. The next one is For the Wolf. It is the first in this duology. So basically, you're going to think Red Riding Hood, and it definitely gives you those vibes because it is, her name is Red. She's supposed to be sacrificed to the wolf in the wood. But it has kind of like the Bear and the Nightingale vibes in the sense that it is about a woman who is supposed to be sacrificed to save her kingdom, but there she kind of finds her true self, her true purpose, her true strength. She has this dangerous power, this dangerous magic, and so at least she knows that she can't hurt the people that she loves, and at least she knows that no one she loves is in the wood. But then she finds out the wolf is not a monster, not a wolf, but is a man. Sparks fly. Anyway, I really loved this series. I think that For the Wolf, to me, definitely is leaning into these Red Riding Hood-esque vibes. It feels very fairy tale. But For the Throne, which I think is the second one. The second one. No. Yes. I don't know what the title of that one is, but that one really brings it well together, and it kind of departs a little bit more from the Red Riding Hood fairy tale vibes in that, and it really finds its feet in the second one. And the last one is The In Between Bookstore, which is one of my favorite books I read in January. It made me cry big tears. I loved it so much. And basically, The In Between Bookstore is a book about a character, Darby. Darby moves back to the small town he left behind because he's unemployed. And there he goes into the bookstore he used to work at and is transported to the past, but only when he's in the bookstore and only at certain moments. So it's very much a story about reflecting on our past, who we were in the past, and coming to terms with, did I do the right thing? Could I have done something more? Darby also actually ends up being able to talk to himself when he was 16. And yeah, it just like is a book about regrets in the past. Can we change the past? Should we change the past? Does the past impact the present? It is so good. Darby is a trans man, and so coming to, facing his previous self or his teen self is also really, really emotional for him. And he looks also kind of like why he left and why he felt like he had to leave. It looks at home like it is just, it is one of my favorite books that I read this year, and it's on sale. And so I had to rent in that one. Okay, so those are all the sales for the series. As I said, the Kiss Club and the YA Club, well, the Kiss Club didn't have that many. YA Club had a lot, and the sales had like a ton. So anyway, I'm super sorry for this really long video. Hopefully you found some more. Shame on me for not reading the many, many books. And let me know down below what you are listening to currently, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.